I'm going to talk about the top 8 things you can do to increase your networking efforts and be successful when networking at music events. Let's get it. I'm Vaughan, the creator and host of We Create Music TV, and this is video number 3 in our Networking in the Music Industry series. Most of the information provided within the pre-event planning segment carries over to during the event segments. It is now time to implement all of these techniques, from developing your personal brand and elevator pitch to asking your purposeful questions. So in this segment, I want to cover some of the do's that will help you maneuver effectively, maximize networking opportunities, and most of all, help you stay professional. So here's a list of do's that I think are important to focus on. Do's that will help you achieve your overall desired outcomes. All right, let's look at the first do. Be intentional. So intention is defined as an act or instance of determining mentally upon some action or result. You have to be intentional about the desired outcomes that you want to achieve, intentional about the type of events you attend, intentional about the people you want to meet, and intentional about the brand you present. Have a strong strategy of how you'll work the room, how you're going to connect with others. Don't spam the audience with your business cards like you're throwing up dollar bills in a music video. Don't let all of your pre-planning go to waste. Wait for the right moments to connect with your identified key people. So while I was attending an event, I intentionally connected with a famous producer for Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce, etc. So I waited until the masses dispersed, and then I made my approach. We had a great conversation about life, music, and essentially how we both might be related to Dennis Edwards, the lead singer of The Temptations. You have to know when it is the right time to approach someone. You also have to be intentional to make that connection, because if I had just joined the masses and handed him my beat CD, like, hey, look at me, I'm a producer, I may have never made the connection on that level that I did. So you have to be intentional. I talked about clarity before. You have to be very clear on what your intentions are and your outcomes are when you are networking. Number 2, be yourself. I'm gonna say that again. Be yourself. The world we live in today is filled with people who are either trying to be someone else or pretending to be someone that they're not. There are too many copycats being manufactured. The reality is that there's only one unique you. There is no one on this planet like you. Be proud of who you are and walk in that. Don't try to be someone else that you're not and put up a facade. People can tell. People know when you're trying to be something that you're not. What you need to do is combine your personality with professionalism while engaging with other people. It definitely goes a long way, believe me. Trust me. Being yourself will take you further than trying to be someone that you're not. I was having lunch during the A3C event here in Atlanta some years ago with a music executive and his son. It was a great conversation with great company and great food. We chatted for about an hour or so, then headed back to the event. I later received a text from this music executive thanking me for showing his son that there are genuine, real people within this music industry, and that it was good for him to see someone just being themselves. Nobody likes a facade. Nobody likes when somebody else is putting up a front, pretending to be something that they're not. Just be you, right? I've talked about this many times in our Branding from Music Creator series and on our interview segments. Please be yourself. That will take you further than you can imagine. People know the authentic you, so just be who you were created to be. Number 3, reinforce your brand. Whether you're attending a formal business networking event, a music conference, or just want to meet someone for coffee, present your brand as much as possible. Maybe you have a polo shirt or a t-shirt, right, with your brand logo on it that looks appropriate, that you can wear out in public. Maybe you have a series of hats with your logo on it that you wear. I know we have our We Create Music TV hats, but maybe you have your laptop, and maybe your laptop case has your logo on it, or maybe you have your brand logo as your screensaver on your laptop. You should be representing your brand wherever you go, no matter what. Now, I'm not saying that you got to get dressed up like you're at an anime convention, but you do want to make people aware of your brand. Now, this section is not focused on brand marketing at all, as there are many things that go into that. When you really think about brand marketing, you're getting into brand colors, brand statements, identifiable brands, etc. And we're not really talking about all of that. I'm just talking about making sure your brand is noticeable, that your brand is everywhere. So you need to consistently reinforce your brand, making sure that your message is communicated. This is super important. It should be consistent, focused, and once again, intentional. Now, before we proceed any further, I want you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel, as it helps us to rank higher and make this type of content more available to other music creators like yourself. All right, let's move on to number 4. Initiate the conversation, right? So my 4th do. Get comfortable enough with talking to people, and you can always take the initiative to begin the conversation. This will help you in a number of different ways. Number 1, you can put the other person at ease right away with a warm, friendly greeting. Always consider your elevator pitch during this as well. Number 2, obviously you get to meet more people by striking up conversations. And number 3, it shows that you took personal interest in them. Don't be afraid to approach a person. That's one of the main points of attending network events, right? Approach people who are shy or standing alone. If you're at, a formal conference or a networking event, do not ignore people who are sitting by themselves or eating or standing alone. They might very well be extremely important to your music career. Not everyone with influence is comfortable at events. Shoot, most people at music events are introverts anyway. I'm a super extrovert, so I'm always talking to somebody. If you make them comfortable, they will open up and help you in every way that they can. Also, never eat alone. Sit next to someone or with people you don't know and introduce yourself. You never know where it is going to lead you. Now, I know I'm giving you a lot of personal experience because, when it comes down to it, I know networking. I go to a lot of events. Well, pre-COVID, went to a lot of events. Now, I remember attending the ASCAP Music Expo in LA in 2016, and I was in line to go see Timbaland speak. Now, if you were at the 2016 ASCAP, you know that this was one of the most anticipated segments of this event. And I was standing behind a guy named Lionel. And I just struck up a conversation with him while we waited. I always tell people, you never know who you're going to meet. Turns out, that this guy has produced for countless indie artists. He has commercially released over 200 of his own albums, of which is his own original music. 200 albums, right? Wow. His discipline and creativity have garnered him over 400 IMDb credits and over 2 million plays on Spotify. So don't be afraid to initiate the conversation. You never know who you're going to meet. And then you never know how that's going to pay off, in the future. Because the guy that I told you about that I met at a music event, and I just waited until he spoke to everybody, and then I had a chance to speak with him privately, it was Focus. And so I also had Focus as part of our conversation on music production panel, as well as Lionel Cohen. And so by me networking with them and building that relationship with them, it had fruit, which led to the conversation on music production. So don't be afraid to initiate the conversation. Number 5, request a meeting. Always try to request a meeting. Since you may not be able to delve into a full-fledged conversation right then and there, a best practice when networking is to request a meeting where you can provide more information about what you do, what you have to offer, and what you're requesting. So utilize the 2 positive choices clause where you offer 2 convenient times and locations for the meeting. So for instance, can I buy you lunch in the hotel restaurant when we break at 11:30 for lunch? Or can we meet for drinks later on in the bar tonight at around 6 p.m.? In sales, we call this the alternative clause, in which you provide 2 or 3 options for someone to choose from. You are strategically assuming one of these options is the best fit for them. Now, they just have to decide which one is the best fit for them. Number 6, have your information ready. If you're requesting a meeting to discuss things further, then you better make sure that you have your information squared away. After all, you just gave a great commercial only to have it flop because you're not prepared. During the meeting, professionally, now I'm going to say that again, professionally ask for what you really need. Determine what information you're going to disclose. They may not want you to disclose your amazing, well thought out 10-year business plan for your music career, right? So give them what you really need at that moment, at that time. Consider things such as your short-term or immediate goals, your plans to promote your music career, how much money you need to fund an upcoming project, what your biggest risks are, or how you plan to reduce those risks. If you have offered to help the other person first, which is something you really should kind of consider when you are networking and asking other people for things, chances are that they're going to help you if you offer to help them. But be specific. Be honest, be realistic with them. Saying things like, I just need a record deal is not specific. Say things like, I am good at writing melodies. but I need to meet a strong songwriter or lyricist to co-write with. This is a much more specific and realistic request. Now, you can still be professional, courteous, and not come across as selfish or greedy. And that's really what you're trying to aim for. Give others the opportunity to offer you assistance and to feel good about it. All right, let's move on to number 7. Provide business cards. Whoa, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that people still use business cards today? Yes, people still use them. Even with the advent of modern technology, some people may not carry around business cards. Some people do. Now, you have the option of utilizing, tech apps like Superphone or other contact apps. Now, these are good to use as well and have their place within the networking environment. But still today, the majority of people still prefer the good old-fashioned paper business card. I've already mentioned to not spam the audience with your business card like you're throwing up dollar bills at a music video. But you have to be very strategic with your business card. Offer your business card should have purpose and context, and it should help to reinforce your brand within that communication. This way, they can be sure to keep your card rather than just tossing it away in the stack of business cards that they probably already have. And we know what happens with those. They find their way to that trash can. You want to include the most relevant information on your business card though. Your website, your social media pages, any contact information that you had, and possibly a QRC code to your recent album or some additional content. When you make a meaningful connection with someone, give him or her your business card. Ask for theirs in return and make sure you follow up. Even if the only thing that you're going to say to them is, hey, it was great meeting you last night. Following up is critically important, and I'm going to touch on that in the post-event activities. All right, let's move on to number 8, which is probably the hardest for people to take, which is rejection. Accept rejection, right? Really think about what rejection means in this instance. But one of the biggest things you'll have to accept is the fact that people are just too busy, or sometimes you're just not interested. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen people do is to take rejection personally. You have to recognize, you got to understand that there are probably over 100 plus people with the same story that you may have when you're approaching them, and they could be burned out or tired of just hearing these same type of stories. Don't take it personally. Don't blast them on social media that he or she is a jerk. Don't spam their DM with disrespectful messages. That is probably a surefire way to ruin any chances that you may have. Think about how you might be able to overcome that rejection though. You could say something like, I know that your time is precious and I don't want to waste it. Is it possible to connect later? Right, this goes back to that alternative choice close. Is it possible to connect with you later over dinner? They may be more inclined to meet with you later, so offer the opportunity. Now, I have met several of my musical acquaintances this way, into which one of them today is my best friend today. You have to accept rejection. You cannot take it personally. Before we move into our 4th segment, during the event part 2, take a moment, hit that like button, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and turn on that notification bell to be notified of new content. And I will see you, of course, in the next video. Peace.